Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon now. In the last section, before lunch, I will, me and Miha will spend about 25 minutes going over the tools that actually help you achieve what we've been talking about for the past couple of hours. So, our objectives are to take the sort of explosion in innovation and the size of the ecosystem that Simon mentioned earlier in the web and mobile spaces, and try and bring some of those benefits to the embedded development world. The ways we're trying to achieve this is by enabling these benefits, which typically has been a little bit lacking in the embedded development world. So things like collaboration and the shared context of being able to reproduce what you're seeing in front of a computer, which I'll go on to more. Code reuse, so not reinventing the wheel every time, and rapid prototyping, which is effectively the sum of that. So I'll go into a bit more detail of what I'm talking about. So a good place to start is how we allow people to share code on mbed, which is obviously the fundamental building block of what we're doing here. There's a lot going on in this screenshot. Unfortunately, I don't have a laser pointer, so I can't show exactly what I'm talking about. But I'll just highlight a few things. So you can see at the top, for example, there's the dependencies. So the components that Emilio mentioned earlier, these are the components. We automatically handle all the dependencies of any project or program that you want to publish on mbed. So this one, for example, I don't know what it is, I picked it at random, but looking at the component it uses and also the name, you can see that it's some sort of drone with range finding and accelerometers and all the rest of it. But you can see that the amount of code that this program is leveraging is a huge amount of libraries, and they haven't written any of those, they've just dragged them into the online compiler. You can also see that multiple people are working on this program. See the names there on the right hand side. They're also working in collaboration. They're doing a bit of change, the person is doing a bit of change, and so on. You can also see that it's actually a fork of an earlier program in the bottom right. So somebody's taken a drone program, for example, and they've started to improve it in their own way. Maybe they've added components, maybe they've added sort of features the earlier program didn't have. And all the numbers on the side are little ways of keeping track of who's using your code and the sort of interest level that it's generating. And as Emilio said, the component database is now the focus of how we want to present reusable software components within mbed. So components we refer to as hardware components, but also software components such as online services or IoT services. And effectively, yeah, it is a way of capturing all the software in a very easy to query and categorize way. And each one of these contain a library, or libraries, which are portable across all the microcontrollers and tools. So really, you don't have to really bother too much about which target you happen to be using. You can add a actuator and start working on your actual application. So the vast majority of mbed users are working in private. They are doing this as their day job. We can see from our sort of activity that mbed is very much a workday type activity. They clock in at 9 and they leave at 5. And the vast majority of them are working in private, as I say, so they're not sharing their code on mbed. But for those that do, this is the way we try and capture what's going on. We've got all kinds of things going on, as you can see. We've got people sort of sharing information, publishing code, forking code, asking questions, posting answers. We used to be able, when we launched it, we used to be able to read, to keep up to date with what was going on, but now this is going too fast. So we can't even keep up with what's going on. You can see from this graph that the number of questions, so we have a question and answer section, like a stack overflow. The number of questions is, the number of answers, is outstripping the questions. So hopefully this means that the quality of the answers people are getting on mbed is increasing. And you can see there a sort of a map of where the users who have published their location are. That's about 17% US, 14% Japan, and then you've got a long tail of lots of other countries. The platform database is primarily for the sort of public places. It's a repository of information about each target. So you go to these pages and you can find pinouts, schematics, information sheets, and so on. But more importantly, from my point of view, it's also what drives our build system. So, as I'll show you in the online IDE, you can choose any of these targets to build for, and we also, it handles all the sort of back-end compilation programs. It's sort of two-function work. The online IDE, so anyone who's used mbed will be quite familiar with this. This is the IDE which has been developed by Michał. This is, when we started this, as Simon mentioned, there was no real concept of this kind of application online. So this has been really developed from scratch to allow us to pioneer new ways of working in an online sort of way. So you've got the essentials for what you need, but we can add a lot of things which you might not be able to get on a sort of a traditional desktop development environment. Those kinds of things are things like very easy collaboration, so you can pull code in and out of this extremely rapidly. All kinds of things like automatic documentation of your code, very sophisticated version control features. And this also allows us to achieve that shared context. So if I send a friend a program saying, I've got a problem with this program, it's not building or it's not doing what I want, he can import it into his IDE and it's guaranteed to exhibit the exact same problem. If he fixes it, and he contributes back the fix, for example, it's guaranteed to fix my problem, because the tool chains and the build environment and the options are completely identical. Michał will demonstrate that now. We just have to switch the screen. So Michał's going to go through sort of a simulated scenario of developing a product on mbed using the online IDE.
Hey everyone. Instead of talking about specific features, which we really don't have the time to go through, I would talk about just a scenario on how the mbed platform tools can change the way prototyping, how we experiment or work. In this example, we'll start with a team between me and Dan, which has only one code published. The program itself was created by Dan, and as shown on the graph, he already introduced some changes incrementally. Now I would like to review what he did with this program. So I'm going to import it in my IDE, my private code base. Well, the IDE is importing the library. Sorry about that. It is also not only importing the program, but also all libraries and even sub-libraries, and solving all the dependencies between them. So you don't really have to care about what version of the library, which revision it is going to be used for that program. It is all handled for you, and it, as Dan pointed already, it replicates the exact program in my workspace as he published it. As you can see, the program itself has multiple libraries. This is an LCD library, Ethernet interface, mbed Tartus, and a library that parses sensor data. I'm going to open the code to review and seeing all the libraries, Ethernet interface, LED setup, initialization of Ethernet interface. Here, Dan created a UDP server to listen to a port, and here he's parsing packets through the sensor data parser library. He uses the results from that library to activate the LEDs of the port. Now, this program, because I'm familiar with it already, of course, what it does is it uses the input from a phone, from app there, quite many actually, that expose all the sensors of the phone. So what Dan created is a library that parses that data and uses data to control the LEDs of the device. So now I'm going to compile this program just to verify that it's working correctly, and but first I'll check that this is the exact same device that I'm using, the LPC1768. Now, while it is compiling, it does that in our vault build system, which can use multiple backend servers, but not only it is not only scalable horizontally, but also vertically. It can use multiple cores and basically unlimited cores to spread the task and deliver the content to the user as soon as possible. Now I just received the binary. I'm going to save it on the mbed board, and which is here, and I'm going to reset it so the program will boot. Now, in the same time, I'm going to use my phone to send sensor data of the accelerometer sensor of the phone. So, as you can see, I'm activating different LEDs with his library. So, this is a pretty successful example created by Dan that I can reuse my already quite consumer-friendly device into something that I can prototype. But I would like to add more to that library. I would like to, let's say, make it so I would use the accelerometer data, so the mbed device will now act as USB mouse device, pointer device, that I can use anywhere, not only in computers, but also other devices that support USB mouse. To do that, I'm going to go to the Insight ID import wizard, and because I want to import a USB device, USB mouse, I'm going to search for USB device library, which looking at the number of imports, it is obviously quite popular. Now I'm going to simply drag it in my program, and it will import it directly with no hassle, and now I'm seeing it inside. But first I'm not sure what this library does, so now I'm going to unfold it, and I'm going to export the documentation. From the API documentation, I can clearly see that there is already USB mouse support. So as soon as I open it, I can see that I can control basically everything. I can move the cursor, I can press buttons, release them, make double clicks and clicks, and so on. And I even have a working example for that library. In this case, from this example, I can see that it is as easy as just referencing the mouse and just making a movement of the cursor. So I'm going to copy the very top of the this example, not to have to write all that code for you. And I'm going to add that code to the main program. Okay, now because I would like to move the mouse pointer, I would simply say mouse move. The accelerometer data from Dan's example above, as I can see now, according to x and y axis, it is coded in these variables. Now I'm going to multiply them by some factor because the movement on the screen, this is a pretty large screen, so to make it more noticeable, I'm going to multiply both axes by some numbers. And I'm going to compile it. It compiled successfully without any errors, which means my code in the library we just introduced is has been successfully included, and I don't have to worry about whether this is a proper library or not. The code is just right. Now I'm going to overwrite the binary I just created, and I'm going to reset the board. Now, as soon as I start sending data, like before, we're having just a second.
Is reset?
It's like there is some network issue. Okay, so as you can see, as I'm tilting my phone, I'm actually controlling the cursor successfully, and I just enhanced Dan's program to so it not only uses the LEDs, but also it successfully acts as a pointing cursor for the mbed board. But this is not ending here, because now I would like to commit my improvements of this program back to Dan, so he can continue from then. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply publish it in our team where we started this example. What currently the IDE does is it ensures that all the dependencies are respected, and it simply asks me to add a commit message, which in this case is add HID mouse. I'm accepting that I would like to publish it, not create a fork. Then I would open the page. Now, on the page itself, when I open the graph, now as you see, my changes are already there, and they're stacked up on top of Dan's changes. And this is how you prototype with mbed. Now I'd like to return the board to Dan.
That might work.
Sorry?
That might work.
Yeah.
Okay. So that demonstrated the IDE in action, but the way we're trying to think of the mbed tools going forward is a much more independent set of services which we offer. So all these services can be used independent of the online IDE. So for example, the publishing that you saw, the version control is a standards-based, mercurial-based repository system. The auto-documentation, again, is not a proprietary thing we've invented, that's just Doxygen. The teams, which we'll talk a bit about more later, but basically that just allows you to work in a group of people and give a sort of project a home on mbed. The collaboration, which is really the sum of all that sort of stuff. The community, you don't need to be using any particular development environment to take advantage of the community or to import a particular program or to publish a particular program. And the build system is something we want to open up to allow people to build. I mean, as Chris mentioned in his sort of programmable products thing, that's the kind of thing which would use our build system from a completely separate application. And yes, the clients which use these services, at the moment the primary client is the online IDE. This interacts with our services using standard APIs and standard protocols, which luckily makes it easy for us to add other tools as we go on. So we're going to be working on a set of command line tools to allow you to do exactly the same sort of stuff, but from your own PC, which of course will allow you to build any arbitrary amount of tools on top of this command line interface. And also third-party IDEs such as Eclipse or Microvision will be able to make use of these APIs. So we've got some numbers here. I'm not going to read them all out, but hopefully it will just give you an idea of what we're up to in terms of sort of the scale. That 1 million figure maps out to 120,000 unique visitors, which is 120,000 different people every month coming to look at mbed. We're getting in the region of 3,000 compilers during the peak of the sort of working day. Since 2009, mbed has been developed completely in-house, so we don't sort of farm out the work to someone else. We develop it all in-house by our team of web developers who are making a new release every 2 weeks or so using a sort of agile method. So we've been very much actively developing mbed all the time and adding new features all the time. The kind of things we're thinking of in the future, this is not a really prioritized list, but I will mention a couple of things. The integrated test framework is a quite an interesting one. That will work with a combination of embedded software and also an online framework, which will say, for example, when you publish your program, you can publish a set of tests with it. So if anybody modifies your code or your library, they can quickly verify that they haven't broken it. And we can automatically run these tests across a variety of platforms. So the idea is to have a racks of hardware in various configurations and various targets. We will automatically run your code against these multiple targets just to verify that they are indeed working across platforms. And as I mentioned, opening up our internal APIs is one of our very next things to look at. This will really open up mbed to other development environments and other tools to really sort of get the advantages of our internal systems out there. There's a lot more in there I can talk about, but it is lunchtime, so that's it for now. Does anyone have any questions on embedded tools? Please don't ask me about embedded development. Yes?
You said you have a bunch of hardware out there that you couldn't test have like lots of virtualized.
Well, there'll be actually pieces of embedded hardware. So, in a sort of configuration, wherever it is, it happens to be a cellular modem or whatever it is. Yeah, it'd have to be real hardware really to properly see. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts around creating an API for invoking things on the back end within your service from outside for things like scaling up your workflow or integration testing? Can you
Absolutely, yeah.
integrate that?
Yeah, I mean, everything we do is, at the moment, it's not exposed by an API, but internally, all the parts communicate using an API. So really, it's just a case of deciding what and when we want to open up with the right documentations, and knowing that the API is doing what we want it to do. So of course, it will have to be supported for in the long term, if and when we do open up any particular API. But yes. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
So I know that there's also an option of offline compiler. So how often do people use offline compiler and how important is
Yeah, well, we do see, I mean, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we do see a lot of exports to offline development environments. That is the way at the moment we support migration to other systems, but in the future we want to make it a much more sort of flexible way. So you won't just leave, you will simply be able to use some of our services, but in a different environment. So you won't have to take your code away, you can want using your code from a different place. So you can use your own editor, for example, but using the same code. So you can quickly move from development environments, if necessary, but maintain the same thing.
So a really good example of that would be if you're contracting someone, you as the person who's contracting might just want to test code's working, do the high level fiddling, but the guy you're contracting might be doing really hardcore coding work, so he might choose stuff like like a Git environment, full debug features, and he knows it inside out, whatever. But the other guy who's working on it is using perhaps the online ID, and as far as they're concerned, they're just working on the same project. This guy happens to be doing much more hardcore development. The other guy is just using the output of what he's doing and plugging it in and doing his features. So that's really where we want to end up, is that you have different types of user. And we expect obviously a lot more people to use, let's say, very simple IDEs, they're just remixing and just tweaking their own configuration. But we don't want, it's not like we want it to be two separate workers.
It's seamlessly working together.
Yeah.
Online, offline.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have to appreciate that some of these presentations have forward-looking statements, or what you want to call it, right? Because we're not there yet. That's part of today, is to show you where we want to end up, and that might be in 2 years' time. It's not all going to happen overnight. But yeah, that's exactly what.
Is that last one?
On your library code and your source code, do they have the ability to pull conversions in that code?
Yeah,
To the component or whatever?
absolutely. So it's all using the Mercurial version control system. So it supports all the features of.
We can actually show it.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. Tell you what, if you grab us during lunch, we'll give you a proper demonstration. But yeah, effectively, yes is the answer.
Perhaps I didn't understand fully, but if you go back a version, are you still handling all dependencies with respect to the
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It does that even in a tree module, so if you have a top-level program and it uses different libraries in the way back, it would import them and import their libraries instead. Basically, it's unlimited as possibilities as tracking dependencies, so it can handle unlimited depth, literally. Yeah.
Okay.
Is the question answer for formalized and all voluntary? I get the feeling today's.
Yes, it's very much voluntary. This is not a ask mbed forum. It's a really ask each other sort of forum, because
you might have taken in the future some kind of formal process where you submit a question to ensure.
yeah, sort of a verified answer type. Like a verified answer kind of a thing. Yeah. Yes. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to cover this later. So as you've asked it, one of the ideas we're doing with teams, where you can set up teams, is obviously those teams can subscribe to things that they care about. So if, let's say, you were uBlocks that we were talking about earlier, they might set up a team which is to manage them, which might be some people from that company, some of their things. So as questions come up, you can get a stream which is related to what you're talking about. So you might be sort of, it wouldn't be necessarily all coming to us, but it might indicate to someone that this is something that they care about. I mean, we do have direct support, email support as well, but we obviously we don't want to get too many people emailing us.